What up, my people? ¿Qué pasa, mi gente? Welcome, bienvenidos to another episode, otro episodio de Hoy en Día TV. I am your host, Yessi Rodriguez, on this beautiful, beautiful day. Hey, it's a lovely day in the neighborhood, and we have another amazing show because we are here to inspire, enlighten, educate, enlighten, and entertain you with each and every episode. And I know we're going to do because we have an amazing guest, in addition to us, amazing co-host and host, right? Hey, so let me bring on my host, CC, the actionist, and Nadine will be joining us a bit later on. But welcome, CC.
Hey, guys. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Oh, there's Nadine. Let me bring her on. Hey, Nadine.
Hola.
Hola, ¿qué pasa?
I just came in and ran up the stairs. As soon as I got here, I ran up the stairs.
I will say, I'm going to give y'all some kudos and shout outs because y'all were like superwomen. You wore your capes and you were flying. You went from here to here to here to here, and now you made it here. Woo!
Oh, you muted. I left Warner Robins at 5 o'clock.
Thank you.
I left Warner Robins at 5 o'clock. It's 2 hours and a half ride, and I was booking it.
And you made it. Wow. I was expecting you a little later on. I was like, okay, cool. Whenever she gets on, it's all good. It happens. But you made it, ma'am. So thank you. Yes thank you both. So lovely ladies, it's been a whole week since we last saw each other. I know we communicate via, cell phone and messenger, what have you, but seeing you is always a good thing for me. I always like to see your smiling, beautiful faces. How are you? How's life? How's the week been? Tell me, háblame, ¿qué está pasando en tu vida?
Everything is great. I mean, beautiful weather here in sunny Georgia. I almost say sunny Georgia. Well, sunny Georgia, sunny Atlanta, It's been in the 70s and it's nice. I've been doing book signings all week. I'm going back tomorrow. So that's exciting. Yes, I have to get back in the groove with getting my book signed. So I'm just excited to be out there doing what I love again.
I'm proud of you.
Keep it up. Making it happen as always.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So tell us
things here.
Oh, sorry, Cece. Go ahead, and I'll ask Nadine in a few. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I was just saying things here in sunny North Carolina. Yay, we got some sun, y'all. It was nice weather out today. Not too bad. My eyes are like a little puffy just because of all the pollen still. And they're just kind of like, I'm kind of itching. A lady told me, she said, you know why we have so much pollen on the cars, right? And I said, no. She goes, well, the males are the ones that kind of go and they pollinate. They're the pollinators and things of that nature. And so this a lot of the trees, right? So the male trees are out kind of, doing its thing. And so the pollination is supposed to fall onto the female trees, right? They're supposed to collect the pollen. But I don't know what's going on here in America, but we've cut down a lot of female trees. So there was nowhere for the pollen to collect. And so therefore the pollen was just like, it collected on all of us and all of our cars and houses and porches and all of that stuff. So I didn't even know that. I was like, wow, this is a thing. Yeah. So the female tree, the male tree, all the stuff. I was like, I was like, I was thinking about it and I said, that's kind of wicked. Like, because you think about like all the fruit trees and all the things that we have. And I said, is it like a, this conspiracy theory, right? Because they're making all this fake food. So if we don't have the female trees to produce the real fruit and all these vegetables and all these things, we don't really have any crops. And so therefore you have all this fake food in the grocery stores making us sick and all that stuff. So it was very, very interesting. So you guys, you go out, you fact check me on that. Okay. But a lady had told me that. I didn't get an opportunity to really kind of fact check it, but she did mention that. But I do know that there are male and female trees and all that kind of stuff with the pollination. So yeah, the pollen fell on us and hence the puffy eyes.
Wow. So the male pollen fell on you. Because if it was a female, then you'd have been okay. Is that right? What are you telling me?
I love it.
We need that male.
That was hilarious. That was a good one, Nadine. Cece, I will say,
I hope you feel better, sis.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.
Because you know what is not fun. Like I deal with that, and I feel you. My eyes earlier this week they were super puffy. I had to invest in like multiple eye washes because I had to continue to wash my eyes, and it just sits like on the eyelid part, and it's just not.
Mm.
Yeah, no fun. No bueno. No bueno.
I'm trying to get my camera so it won't cut off the side of my head. Like, I don't know how you guys set yours up so great, but every time it seems like I'm struggling with mine.
It's okay.
You're fading into the virtual.
Right. Gonna be like half of my face, you know.
That's funny. So Nadine, your upcoming book signings, what's the next stop?
So right now, yesterday I was on the Dobbins base yesterday and Monday, and today I'm on the Warner Robins Air Force Base. So I'm really enjoying it. I really enjoy, collaborating and networking, meeting people, and the more and more I share my story, it's like, wow, so many people could relate, or so many people just gravitating, to hear what happened, and they're just so excited. I just so appreciate everybody's support.
That is amazing. That is awesome. Well, I was going to say, I'm sure because it's an Air Force base, people from the outside can't come in to see you, right? It has to be just the people in there. Is that how that works?
On the base, yes, unless they're
Gotcha.
like contractors that are working on the base, but yeah, it's from the military.
Okay. And so for future,
you have to have a specific reason why you're entering the base, and somebody, have to sign somebody else on the base if they don't have a government ID.
I see. I gotcha. Okay. And then so for future book signings, is that gonna be like a public location where people can come and see you at?
So my next thought is to start going to like Barnes and Nobles. So I mean that's in the works, but right now I'm more tailored to the bases for now. But I'm trying to venture out because I don't know if I told you, but when I started initially, I was doing it, and then I kind of put it on a pause. It's been a couple of years, but I mean, I was selling on online and Amazon, TikTok, Facebook. I'll share my books, but I wasn't really actively going. I was initially when I started, but then I put it on pause, and then I said, my friend Renata, she's like, you got to get back out there. So thank you, Renata, for pushing me to go to get back out there and signing my book.
Shout out to Renata. Yes, that is awesome. Well, I know we usually have our interesting topics of the week. I don't know if you all have any interesting topics that you all came across. But I found something really interesting under NBC News. So there was a missing toddler, a 2-year-old toddler out in Arizona. And what was interesting is that I was thinking when I read this article, like, where are the parents? Like, why is there a missing toddler? And yeah, like that with my spirit, especially having a toddler myself. But anyway, so apparently a 2-year-old boy spent a night alone in a remote Arizona wilderness and walked miles through mountain lion territory, but was led to safety by a rancher's dog this past Monday and Tuesday. So the toddler was rescued on Tuesday, but this all happened this past Monday. And so a operation was launched when the boy disappeared from his home in Seligman, Arizona, which is 100 miles south of Grand Canyon National Park, at about 5 p.m. on Monday. He was wearing a tank top and pajama pants. And so the sheriff office said that more than 40 rescuers, including Department of Public Safety rangers, joined the search, and a DPS helicopter spotted 2 mountain lions in the area. But 16 hours after he went missing, a rancher named Scotty Dunton found him on his land 7 miles away. The boy was safe, which is a great thing, right? And what really led him and helped him was the rancher's dog named Buford. So,
Buford,
what are your thoughts about that? Because when I read in the world is this? Yeah, Nadine, your face, right? Right. I don't know what's happening.
Buford is a hero.
I'm just disappointed in the parents. Like, how do you lose a 2-year-old and you're a parent? Like, I'm just, I don't know. I don't know.
And the number of hours, that the child went missing is insane. But the grace of God was all around that child, protecting that child. And I don't know what the temperature is, because in Arizona can get really, really hot, but at night it can get really, really cold. And so the fact that he just had on some pajama bottoms or, and just a tank top clearly was not prepared for the elements. And I can only imagine like the trauma, that this child faced. And maybe, I don't know, we don't know. Children are very resilient. And so I just hope he wasn't afraid, and thank God for Buford. Like you said, Buford, woof, woof, right? Hero for the dog, big ups, right? So, oh my goodness.
That's
right.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah, because even with me having a 2-year-old, I'm like OCD about him. I'm like, where's he? I gotta look. Where's he? I even got to the point where when we go walking, there's a little attachment that I put on my wrist and I put on his wrist, so that way he can't go far. Like, he's not gonna wander off. He's gonna be right here next to me.
Listen, little man could run. So I'm just thinking about that 2-year-old story and your little guy. And I'm like, I don't know the dynamics about both of them, but your little boy would have been taking off running somewhere.
Yeah. He's a runner for sure.
Right.
Yeah, he's fast. He's like Bolt. He's fast. That little guy's fast.
I'm telling you, he outrun me, man. I was chasing him, and I was a track star. You know what I mean?
That's right. That is awesome.
So I don't know. Did the news article say anything about what's happening with the parents? Because I'm pretty sure like CPS is involved in all these things and what happened. Like, I mean, geez, like I just don't know.
They didn't give too many details, but I'll definitely follow up on the story because I'm pretty sure they're gonna like do some extra investigation there, because something just doesn't add up to me, especially this poor toddler with wildcat territory. Like that's right. Dangerous.
Because how did he disappear? I mean, I'm trying to think. Did he have his own room? Was he in the middle of the night? Did he crawl out of his crib? Went through an open window or something? You know what I mean? So many variables here.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Cece made a good about the temperatures being hot. Like, that's another thing too, from a temperature standpoint. That's not healthy and conducive for a 2-year-old at all. So,
exactly. So, how
God.
many hours did they say he was missing for?
It looks like he was missing for over 16 hours. Well, let me go back to this article here. Hold on. I'm gonna pull it back up. Yeah, when I saw it, I was shocked myself because I'm like, what in the world is this? And I always have that saying, like, if I ever become president in the future, that's going to be one of the main things that I'm going to advocate is mental awareness and the capability of a person being a parent. Because being a parent, you need to be mentally, physically, emotionally, financially stable to raise a kid. And if me being president and you don't check for those, I'm sorry. You gotta try next time, buddy.
Yep, absolutely. And those are all the allies. We say the financially, emotionally allies, right? Think of those are all allies, right? To kind of make for a safe, healthy environment for a child to be emotionally available, and definitely to have. I know some families out there are poor, and I've been in countries where they're just third world and they're very poor, but they have a lot of love, and the children don't even recognize, realize that they're even poor sometimes in some of these places. But you got to have all the allies, as I like to call them, emotionally, financially, spiritual, all of those, right, to help make better for a child. I didn't read I didn't have an interesting topic, but I did have something that was interesting, right? And so I was chatting with a friend on this week, and Rory, we actually had Roy, Dr. Rory on your show, and he was talking about putting together this retreat, right? Because typically in society, like you have disenfranchised, underprivileged, poor, like all of these things, right? For people, you have a lot of stuff, a lot of resources and things to give, and people kind of run to the aid of these people, right? to kind of shoulder them along and kind of spur them along and lift them up. But he made a comment about something, and I literally had been thinking about this, and so he must have been all in my brain stuff. But he goes, "Who is there for the strong?" Right? Who is there? Who shows up for the strong? And there's a two facet to this, right? Two facets, two sides, because I was thinking like on one hand, you know, me being one of those strong people, but we're all human. So we all have our moments, right? But also a factor of pride can kind of come in with the strong, because if you're always the one showing up, the one always having the answers, the one always being that shero or that hero, right? People depend on you, and that can make you feel really great inside, right? And so you can have an air about yourself, maybe not all the time, but maybe some of the time, or maybe this is not true for everyone, but you have a sense of pride to show up. And so sometimes when you're going through and you need to pick up the phone to call somebody, you may be a little embarrassed, you may feel a little shameful, and you may not reach out, right? So who is there to really kind of shelter, to uplift, to spur along, to push forward the strong? And I'm not sure if you ladies have really thought about that. I'm not sure if the listeners out there have given that any thought, but it's something that we need to do better, right? Within our society, within our community. Okay. And it's also it's a conversation worth having too, because even those people that are quote unquote the strong per se, you know what I'm saying? They, like I said, they may be dealing with that whole, I can't come forward and ask for help because of the shame. I'm always supposed to be the one showing up. And so what do they do? So have you guys ever thought about that? Do you all consider, like, out of you two, right, in your relationships and your family, are you considered the strong, right? You know, and then how does that work for you? What's that dynamic like?
You know, that's a really good question. And because I'm considered a strong, I have a tendency to bottle things up and not really release a lot of how I really feel. And I think I've been dealing with this since a teenager. So I've learned the dynamics of how to help calm myself down, so to speak, like when I'm thinking about something, and then also start praying. I pray and then I speak outward. Like if I have a negative thought in my mind for whatever reason, I speak outward, but I speak positive against whatever thought that I'm thinking about, which will then in turn help me think positively in a different manner. So these are some of the tactics that I use, especially being considered the strong person and having, like, not always feeling like a voice to really lean on. But I will say, you know, when I do feel like opening up, I do have, you know, my honey and my mom and my cousin that I can talk to and bounce ideas off of and stuff. But I'll be honest, most of the time I keep things to myself. I kind of analyze the situation. I study like myself thinking, okay, the way I'm thinking, is that logical? Why am I thinking this way? So I do a lot of self-reflection because I don't want to be that person to feel like I'm overreacting over something. And I have a tendency to give people the benefit of the doubt a lot. So, yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. My computer is dying. I have to run and get my charger real quick.
Yeah. No problem. How about you?
So yes. Well, yeah, I wanted to ask you one thing first, though. In bottling the things up and all that kind of stuff. But when you do know that you may need the help, it doesn't seem like your support system is the first line of defense that you go to. You just kind of are handling it within internally. Now, is that out of like, man, they can't really help me because if I put this burden on them, it's really going to affect them. And they're already kind of struggling in some areas. And I don't really want to, put that on their shoulders. Like, do you have those thoughts? And how does that work?
Yeah. So because the way I was raised, I really appreciate what was instilled in me to do, like being self-dependent. And what I mean by that is that there's an area that I feel like I need support in, I do my best to exhaust all possible venues before I reach out to somebody and say, hey, I need help, right? I'm not one of those, like, I know people that just quickly, they're like, oh, like call so-and-so, they can help. I'm not that type of person. I want to find solutions first on my own, that I can help myself first. And if I really realize that I'm hitting a brick wall and I can't help myself, then yes, I'm going to call for help when that's needed. But because I understand that everyone's life is different, they have their own obstacles and challenges to deal with as well. And I don't want to be that person to add the extra layer of burden or responsibilities. So I prefer to do the best that I can to diffuse a situation myself before reaching out to somebody else to say, hey, I need help in this. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I believe that's the common denominator with the strong, and I use that term, but the strong, right? We will try to figure things out, get those solutions beforehand, right? To try to, have that. And then if all resources are exhausted, you don't have it, then we go. But I wonder, and I was asking myself these questions too. And I said, I wonder though, if that comes from a sense of pride as well. You know what I'm saying? For me, in my heart, in my spirit, I'm like, I just don't want to put that burden. I don't want someone else to shoulder that burden for me. I'm going to carry it. I can carry everybody. All right, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Put your on my back, put you on my shoulder. Let's go. We're going to get you there. And so I want to show up strong. And then I feel like, if sometimes, and I have felt this way, sometimes if I do ask for the help, do they now think that I'm weak? Would they come to me again for another problem or not? Would that whole relationship just kind of be shattered in that, per se, in that instance, per se? So I know there's just some things I want you all to be thinking about: the weak, the strong, however you classify yourself. But at the end of the day, leave with this, that we all need people, right? From time to time, we weren't ever made to be independent of one another, right? We're community, we come together. So I thought it was interesting when Dr. Edwards, right? He mentioned that, and I was like, very interesting. What were you going to say to that, Nadine?
Repeat the question again. I'm sorry. About who's the strongest?
The strong, right? The strong, we're always showing up, but who shows up for the strong? And I know you are a very strong person, right? And I know a bit about you. You do exhaust all of your resources, and sometimes you'll exhaust from some point. You still don't reach out. You know what I'm saying? You might talk about it in jest, but so how the strong, you consider yourself a strong person. I know that you're a strong person. So who shows up for you? What does that look like?
Well, I know you always show up for me. That's for sure. I know my friends show up for me. I mean, I know I could reach out to my family and have a conversation, So, I mean, I know the resources are there because I'm always preaching about, resources, and especially on the mental health side of it. We talked about that a lot. But you are right. Sometimes I don't reach out for help because it's just maybe that pride in me. I know God said be prideful, but sometimes I don't, even if to have a conversation, I don't really reach out like I should. But I mean, over the years, I became better.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I will say this, I do want to give a shout out to the village that does help me with my son, because having a kid, I can do without the support system. So shout out to family, friends, loved ones that help with my little one, and my honey, he's a wonderful partner, wonderful dad. So shout out to him as well. And just, helping the strong, helping the strong. But ladies, talking about the topic of being strong, a special guest waiting for us behind the scenes, who is that one that's strong because he's a firefighter and a professional actor.
Oh,
yeah, is that interesting? Yeah, so I'm definitely excited to bring this special guest on. And so I was looking at some firefighter stats, and it's really interesting that how in the U.S. in 2023, approximately 344,600 incidents took place with fire, with cooking being the leading cause at 48.7%. Other significant causes include unintentional carelessness, heating, and electrical malfunctions. And annual fire responses. So the fire departments across the U.S. respond to about 1.39 million fires, and this took place back in 2023. EMS calls were the most frequent, comprising of 65.2% of all responses, followed by good intent calls, service calls, and fires. Fire-related deaths. So in 2020, 3,670 fire-related deaths in the U.S., firefighters accounted for 96 of those fatalities. And so hearing these stats, we know how risky and how strong you need to be a firefighter, right? And even looking at just some of the physical standards, I mean, you need to be able to push up. There's like, I'm looking it up here, firefighter fitness standards, and I guess we can confirm this with our guests too. The fire academies often require recruits to meet specific physical standards, such as a 2-mile run completed within 18 minutes, a minimum of 25 push-ups done in 2 minutes, 2-minute plank holds, and at least 1 chin-up with an underhand grip. In under 2 minutes?
Wait, 24 push-ups in only 2 minutes?
2-minute plank hold, at least 1 chin dip up, and an underhand grip, a minimum of 25 push-ups to be done within the 2 minutes. So within the first 2 minutes, you have to do at least 25 push-ups. I think it takes me 2 minutes to do like 5 push-ups, maybe. So that's interesting. Yeah. What are your thoughts about that before we bring our special guest on?
I guess I'm just thinking about military because 25 push-ups is nothing in 2 minutes for me. I mean, I'm not that strong anymore, but I mean, they're doing other things too. But I mean, of course, I give kudos to our law enforcement firefighters. I love them all. I ran into some today. They talked about my, I was communicating with them, the ones that were on the base today. So I ran into some firefighters today. That was pretty interesting. But yeah, I was just not throwing any shade, but I was just saying, kind of like click in my head because I'm trying to memorize the Navy PT chart, and I'm like 2 minutes for firefighters. That should be worth it. But I mean,
I was thinking the same thing too, sis. I was like, oh, 25, that's a lot of time for 25 push-ups. But no shade here on ONDT. No shade. We love our firefighters. It's a dangerous mission every day. They're putting their lives on the line, going into these burning buildings to save people, to save pets. Right. It's a big deal. And so we don't take that lightly. I know here in North Carolina, they have been on the news quite a bit, actually, and they are trying to recruit firefighters because the pay isn't that great. And the danger is it supersedes, you know what I'm saying? And so they are like, some new graduates that just kind of went through young kids, like, well, I'm not going to say kids, but 20, 21, so on and so forth, going out there too, learning and putting their lives on the line. So yeah. Kudos to our firefighter. Can't wait to meet him. Can't wait to have him here to chat with him to see what's going on, right? These 25 push-ups in 2 minutes.
Right. Well, this is just what I read from firefighter stats, but I mean, hey, maybe in his training, he probably had to do more because I know your training is different coming from a military background. So I'm sure that type of training compared to firefighter definitely varies immensely. It looks different, I'm sure. Yeah. But to bring on our special guest.
It's interesting. Oh, go ahead. We can talk about it. But I was going to say it's interesting because when I first joined the military, we went through firefighter training, and it's hard. The hoses alone, trying to control the flow of the water with the nozzles and all of that stuff, and because if those things get loose, they can kill you. Right. So that's a lot. And then just knowing the different types of fires that you have, because you can't use water on everything. So I'm pretty sure our guest is going to talk about that. So, electrical fires and things like that, knowing what you can use. And I'm pretty sure he's going to talk about the different classes, the ABC, the fires and all that stuff, the things that you use. We trained with AFFF, which is this aqueous foam that we kind of use. It was fun. I loved it. It was fun, but it is dangerous in real life. And I've never had to put out any major fires like firefighters. But yeah, let's bring this guest on. Let's go for it.
Yeah, I'm curious now to know more about that too. So let's see if he'll shed some light on that. But our guest is a veteran of the stage, TV, and film. He's appeared in HBO's True Detective with Mr. M. Ali. His name is difficult for me, so I'm not even going to butcher it. Mr. Ali, Tyler Perry's assisted living The Forge, and most recently as the nefarious Dr. Greg in the Tubi horror thriller Sugar Mama. I watched it, and that was, if y'all haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. It's an interesting movie for sure. It was really good. So our guest latest project, the newest Amazon series, El Gato Negro Santuario, is in the post-production stage and set to premiere in May. So coming up soon next month, because we're already in April. Filmed on location in Mexico City. Our guest portrays the recurrent role of a CIA director, Ed Colborn, in the screen adaptation of the wildly successful Mexican comic hero El Gato Negro, who is Batman-like, and has powers more becoming of an athletic jaguar. El Gato is an urban legend, but has returned and has become embroiled within today's cartel, border, and immigration crisis. So that's going to be interesting. I want to know more about that. So our guest is married to his beautiful wife, Danielle, and they share their one son, Jaden. When he's not performing, our guest serves as a fire lieutenant in the Raleigh Fire Department in Raleigh, North Carolina. And he admits that dividing his time between his family, acting, and career as a firefighter has become a bit, it can be a little overwhelming. But he labels his life as one big hustle, and he continues to do that, which is amazing. So without further ado, welcome to Hoy en Día TV, our special guest, Joseph Curtis Callender. Yes.
Welcome.
Yes. Tell us about these push-ups here. Is that true?
I'm sorry, I was doing my push-ups within about a minute before I came up, so I had to look swole.
Because if I could remember 37 push-ups in the Navy, that's put you on probationary period. So I was like the 25 for just the firefighters. Okay, but no shade. I wasn't throwing any shade.
Hold on, Nadine. You're already throwing shade because you're from the Navy. I'm a Marine.
Oh,
okay.
So, I didn't know that. Okay.
So we can talk about push-ups all day. And let me tell you this about the span of the strength and agility test is what it's called. They have to make it viable for everyone, for civilian background, for women, for men, for LGBTQ, for all of the mixes that come in nowadays. So everyone doesn't have a military background. Everyone doesn't have a physical fitness background that comes into firefighting. Matter of fact, a lot of people are coming in as they were teachers, they were college professors, they were, various backgrounds. Some used to work for SAS and computer companies in the Triangle. And they now really try their hand at an adventurous life as being a firefighter. So you have different backgrounds. So you have to have a certain span for everyone. 25 push-ups within 2 minutes is something that they feel like the average citizen can do. Right. They know that someone with a military background or a physical background can dust it. And so it has to be made possible for everyone.
Right. Okay. And then it's not just the push-up in 2 minutes. You guys have to do like planks and stuff like that within the 2 minutes, or just the push-ups within that 2 minutes?
Yes, you have to hold your plank within, for us, it was 1.5 minutes, for as long as you can hold your plank without dropping the bridge, so to speak. We had to run, for us, for Raleigh, North Carolina, it was 1.5 miles in under 15 minutes, which is fairly easy if you're in shape going into the strength and agility test. Now, what they're not telling you is that there's only about a minute rest in between these events. Oh. There's also a tower run that you must do, a 5-story tower, and with dragging a dummy to a certain amount of floors, and then picking up a hose pack and taking it all the way up, dropping the hose pack, and then pulling another hose pack from 5 stories down until you get it to, the floor that you're on, which is the 5th floor. So there's a lot entailed that they're not telling you other than kind of what you read.
Right. So how old are they taking people? Because I might be running the firefighting.
18 is the beginning.
No, what's the cutoff?
As long as you're able. There's no ageism. As long as you're able to perform these duties. We had someone come through our last academy that was about 48 years old, and he was one of the guys that led the led the pack in everything he did. Now, he did have a prior military and police background, but he seemed to fare fine, and now he's online.
Okay, great.
Wow, that's impressive. Thanks for shedding some light on that. That's interesting. So I know I read in your amazing bio, and it paints the description of your background. But this is the $1 million question I usually like to start the conversation is, who would you say you are? Who would you say Joseph Curtis Callender is?
That's he's very complex. He's a very disciplined, orderly, structured, yet he has an artist's mind. You know, very left brain, very right brain, and he's a mixture of everything. He knows when to be in line and structured and complete the mission, but he's thinking a myriad of things, and all of these things are swirling in his head for great ideas, for a movie, writing a script, and music. He loves music, and so I guess he knows when to be about business. He works hard, and then he plays hard.
Okay, that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
That is
on here.
So I want to peel the onion. Let's start from the beginning, because I'm just really curious between being a firefighter, a lieutenant, and also being a professional actor, because you've been on so many amazing sets and movies and productions. And so we've seen you all over, and I've had the opportunity to work with you also. You're just an amazing talent and a wonderful person overall. How did it all start? Where did this passion come from? Let's take us back to the beginning. Like, where did you realize at what point in your life that you wanted to be a firefighter, and two, that you wanted to do acting?
Born and raised in New Jersey, and New Jersey stays in me, even though I live down here in Raleigh, North Carolina now, or the outskirts of Raleigh. I still love Jersey. I wish it hadn't changed so much. I probably would have stayed there. But 12 years old, I went to go see the original Star Wars. I'm an old head, you know, and I went to go see the original Star Wars back when I was a kid. That was when the blockbusters was first starting, where you started having lines around the corner. When I saw Star Wars, I knew that I wanted to be a part of something like that. If I couldn't be, if that fantasy wasn't real, what was the next best thing? Being someone who helped make that fantasy. You know, these guys were engaging, they were amazing, and I wanted to be a part of that fantasy. And I was like, well, how do I do that? It was the acting. It was the actors that did what they had to do to get to that position and say, hey, now I'm in Star Wars. I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm Han Solo. So I'm a bit of a nerd. And with that, I was like, well, that's what I want to do. And I was so captured by that story and that vibe that from a child, I asked my mother to help me find an agent. And I had an agent at 12 years old up in New York. And they would send me on all auditions that I never won. But I love the process. But I made it into every school play. I was the lead in all the school plays, talent shows. I found out I had a knack for comedy. So I did some stand-up comedy at 18 years old. I didn't go to my high school prom because I was working at the comic strip because I wanted to be like Eddie Murphy. And I worked with Jerry Seinfeld, Dennis Leary, the Wayans brothers, opened up for them. But I found out I had more of a knack for acting. And I said, well, let me channel all of those gifts into acting. Things didn't work out past going to Rutgers University. I went to Rutgers University, played baseball there. I made it as far as a AAA minor league Braves in the Brave system. I got I got cut probably about the third weekend, and I got sent back home to New Jersey. So I joined the Marine Corps, did the Marine Corps for 4 years. I get out. That month that I get out, the towers fall. That was a 9/11. They called me back in. I was already in the academy for my first fire department, and I was the second day in, and they called me back on to duty as a Marine. Went to Afghanistan, went to Iraq. Once I got back, it does affect you. And then to go back into firefighting and do all of these things that Yessie was talking about, as far as the fires and the car wrecks and the things like that. People live this life unchecked sometimes, and sometimes you deal with PTSD and symptoms of it. But thank God, we were talking about leadership earlier. Thank God I have a good support system. No one leads alone. Okay, it's hard to do. As much as you want to do it, and as much as you don't want to take your hands off the control, you must allow others to help you. No one gets to their destination or victory alone. All right. That's why you fellowship in church, Yessie. And yes, that's why you fellowship in church, because there must be a communion of people worshiping God, because you need to not only do it alone, of course, in your own time and have those that love you pray best for you. You also need interceding, of course, the right people praying for you. I usually lead that into my close circle, my family. But you also want to go to church and fellowship, because this is the church era that Jesus talked about. We must all come together and at least touch and agree. And there is a power in touching and agree, even though your church ain't perfect. And yes, it's just a building, but it's the people that make it. It's the fellowship that helps your leadership. As a leader, and I'm going to finish here. As a leader, I'm going for captain in 2 weeks. As a leader, as in the fire department, as a lieutenant, let me tell you this. I'm a delegator. I like to delegate the scene. If I'm coming up on scene and I'm going to make the call, I look at everything I got. A leader doesn't know everything, but the best leader understands that. And so he takes his team, and I have a team of 4, and I say, what do you see? What do you see? What does everybody see? And I take account of everybody's evaluation, and then I put it all together, and I make the final call, because you're the one that's designated the leader. So there's an example of what we were talking about earlier with leadership and everything. No one does it alone. There's going to be times where you're by yourself and you have to make a command decision. But usually what leads you and guides you is the wisdom that God gives you and your common sense, which is that wisdom. So there you have it.
Yeah, a great leader has to know how to follow, you know.
There we have it. Hallelujah. I was about to do a little jig, like pass around the offering. Okay, the pastor. Okay. We done had some church up in here. Okay.
Right. And then he could be
He
could be your 10th. He could be Mr. Joseph Callender right here. He could be your 10th personnel on the anthology we're talking about.
There you go. We were just talking about that earlier today. Nadine and I are authors and you know, all these things. And we were talking about mental health with the military and stuff like that. And knowing that you were, because I was like, he looks so familiar. I was like, I know this guy. I know him. And so, yeah, so we can talk about that offline, but it's going to be some good stuff. But you said something that really piqued my interest, and you talked about leadership, and you talked about taking everyone's perspective, right? Seeing what they see, what they know, right? Just so we can keep everybody safe, make sure we're tracking on everything. And when you were speaking that, right, and you really infused, you know, the Lord in it, right? Jesus, all I could hear and screaming in my ear was servant leader, right? Servant leadership. It seems like you have that as a true foundation, right? Where you may have to delegate, right? Be that authoritative, you know, be that democratic, be that laissez-faire. But really at the crux of everything when you were speaking, it was the servant leadership, because servant leaders do what you did. And that as a whole, holistically, right? That really truly elevates your team, right? For camaraderie and that type of stuff, having authentic people and, you know, just transparent people on your team. So I just want to applaud you. I mean, just in the little snippet of what you've given us, you've really given us a whole holistic view. And I can really appreciate that, and seeing the things that you're doing for the people that are coming up behind the ranks, you know, after you. And so we wish you the best of luck.
Just about to say that. That's just about to say that you that's how you help the others come up. You show them that example. And that's kind of like their foundation to go from. Thank you.
And I'm sure your
absolutely. And we wish you the best on picking up captain and everything. You're going to be amazing. You got this. Okay. So it's already done, but no, I love it. I love the servant leadership, and you see it. It's all over. It's like a glow. You know, he got that servant leadership glow. We love it. We love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. I know I have several questions, but I am going to see if my co-hosts have questions before I ask mine. So Nadine or Cece, any questions for Joseph before I jump?
Yeah. So how long have you been a firefighter?
23 years.
Oh, that's amazing. Congratulations. That's a
Thank
that's
you. 23 years.
Yeah.
And I was one of the old guys that went through the academy. I'm not going to give my age, but yeah, I was one of the older recruits that went through the academy. So fresh out of the military, did all of that stuff, and you know, For those that don't think that 25 push-ups are hard, you want to try to always go above and beyond. So I was trying to make 50 in 2 minutes. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's what's up. That's awesome. That's nice. How do you? I did have a question. How do you? Did you know, like, was firefighting, right? Was that a passion of yours, something that you knew you wanted to do, or you just kind of trying to, figure out life as you're kind of going along? And then my second half to that, right, is how do you bridge the gap, right? What do you bring from firefighting that helps you in the acting world, and then vice versa?
Okay. When I was a kid, I only knew one black firefighter in my neighborhood. So other than the Star Wars story, the black firefighter was the father of one of my best friends growing up. He always seemed to have it together. He's seen some of the greatest tragedies in our neighborhood growing up in New Jersey. So when I would see him sitting in front of the station as his son and I, as friends, walked by and they called us inside the station, they were the most friendliest people in the neighborhood at the time growing up. And, that was something that stayed with me. But I never said that I was going to be a firefighter. What happened is after the military, they try to take care of you when you're leaving. Before you EAS and leave the military, they say, go to these classes and get yourself right, especially in the Marine Corps. Go to your anger management classes. That's where I kind of found out that I am dealing with a PTSD situation. And that comes into the acting later on. But it happens where, they send you to these job fairs. They say, hey, this is going to happen in Virginia. This is going to happen in Charlotte. Show up to the job fairs and you can get a job and transition right out of getting paid here and go right into your next career. Everything that they offer a military man coming out of the military is always law enforcement, some kind of work with a local city like garbage, water, utilities, and firefighting, state trooper. I didn't want to go back in uniform as a police officer or a state trooper and be shot at again like I was in my military uniform. Plus, I think with today's problems politically and socially, they should vet people better who deal with PTSD, who know that they have anger issues at the time or whatever, and don't allow them to get past a certain process in the police law enforcement field. Mm-hmm. Because this is what you're getting. These insecure people who believe in the current administration right now, and they want to go ahead and follow through and act nasty on the streets because they were missing something as a child, or they look at someone with a darker skin tone that played better than them on a football field or baseball field or what have you, whatever their little reasons are, and they can't justify it. So they feel that they want to weaken your position somehow by snatching you up on the street, throwing you on a car because you didn't have your license plate tag or something like that, rather than letting due process take care of the situation. If you feel that you need to arrest me, this is what I got to say for the extreme. Go ahead and do what you need to do. I'm going to let you take me in. But when it's over, when I say let you take me in, if that's what they feel that they're doing, but when it's over, you're going to hear from my lawyer and you're going to let due process happen. They're not doing that. They're trying to be judge and jury on the street. So when you're going for the cop job, make sure that you're somebody that has a stable background or somebody who's not insecure. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want any of that. And these are all the thoughts going to my head. So I chose firefighting. And I was reunited with my thought of that first Black firefighter that I saw. I wanted to know if I can do it. Wasn't sure that I could. And when I found out that I could, I found out that I can exercise that fellowship leadership, that servant leadership. I found out that I could have the time that I needed to find an agent because I'm still going to be an actor. And I wanted that more than anything else. That's my life's fantasy, my life's dream. And I never gave up on that dream. Here I am, a man of a certain age, middle-aged, still chasing that dream. If you go back to town in Jersey and listen to my friends, they'll go, he's always wanted to be either a baseball player or an actor. And they always go, he's still doing it. I cannot believe he's still chasing that dream, but I am. And you don't give up on that because dreams do not have an expiration date. So firefighter helps support the career, but I love firefighting.
That's amazing. So is the your friend's dad, was he still around so he could, be proud of you and watch you become that firefighter that he was?
Unfortunately, he passed probably about 10 years ago.
Mm.
And that's one of the, and he passed as a result of a firefighter danger. A lot of people think that firefighters die in the fire, die in the event, and that's not the truth. We die of stress on the heart because of all of the dynamic situations we face, or by way of cancer, because of the toxins in all of the burning materials that we always come across.
Mm.
There's even toxins that stay inside of those firefighting uniforms that you see, and they stay on there. Even if we wash it, they weave into the material, and the next time we put it on and sweat and run around, we either inhale the toxins by way of the fire, absorb it by way of the open pores on our skin, or we ingest it sometimes in our sweat through our mouth, nose, ears, what have you. So after a great 20 some odd year career, you retire, and 2 years later, you find out you got cancer.
Mm.
So it is truly serving the people. Somebody needs to do it. We're doing more research on cancer protocol and stuff like that. So it's getting better for the younger people coming in, but it's still a problem.
Right. So we pray that's not the case and they'll be able to fix it, in due time.
It's an ongoing process. They are working through it.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, I'm glad you're sharing all this food for thought, for sure, because what you do as a firefighter, thank you for your service. It's not easy. Clearly, you are painting the picture in my head, and I'm like, wow, that's a lot. And so with that in mind, and I know that you shared off, you started recording, or the here that you spend at least 24 hours a day, right? I'm not sure how many times in a week you have to be there, but long hours nevertheless. And also being an actor takes you away from home. So how does the whole work-life balance look between your firefighting career, your acting career, and then spending time with family?
Here's the hustle. You got to get, this goes back to leadership now. You got to get a few good friends in your corner at your job. Okay. These are the friends that are fellow lieutenants, fellow firefighters that say, hey, we saw Sugar Mama. We loved it. When's your next movie? Hey, we saw Overcomer. We saw The Forge. We saw you on True Detective with Mahershala Ali. That's his name. The guy that's going to be the next Blade. He was in the Green Book. He's that guy from Moonlight, 2-time Oscar winner. And how did you swing that, man? We're big fans now. They're supporting. They make fun of you because they know that you're an artist and you have a delicate heart, and you're amongst all these burly men who can do push-ups 50 in 2 minutes. But oh my God, there you are on the screen. What do I do to help? How can I support you, brother? So they say, hey, if you ever need help in anything that you're doing and you need a day or two for me to fill in for you, be glad to do it. Of course, you take care of him financially. You pay him back his time if he needs a day. You develop a little system. Those allow me to go out and do the Westerns, the cowboy thing that I was in, and on all of that stuff when I'm gone for 3.5 weeks. They fill in those days. My schedule is we work 3 days on, 4 days off. So the day that I'm on is a 24-hour shift. And if I came in 8 o'clock this morning, I would leave 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. I'd be off for 24 hours. I'd go back in that following next day for 8 o'clock until 8 o'clock. I'm off another day. I do one more day of 24 hours, and then I'm off 4 days in a row. So it's fair. The schedule is like that because of the stress factor, guys. They, in that 24 hours you face, you get up many hours of the day. Even at night when you sleep, half of that thing that's stress on the heart is you're dreaming and it's 2 a.m. All of a sudden the alarm hits and your heart is beating 210 miles an hour because it's a terrible alarm and it's very shocking. And then you see that yellow light burning in the night and it's someone's home on fire. And now everyone's coming at you saying, put out my fire, my kid is in the house. My dog is in the house. And you have to figure that out with your leadership. You have to look at your team and say, you do this, you do that. If you see something dangerous, let me know. I'm going to make the call. There you have it.
Wow. 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 Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Do you have
So you get this audition in the middle of that. You know, I look on my phone, you know, in between calls, you look on your phone and your agent goes, hey, you got a great audition coming up. And they need it by tomorrow. Sometimes here's the support now. Here's that leadership from the family. I call myself a co-head of the family because it's me and Danielle. And she's kind of like my business partner. Sometimes I'll call her on the phone and say, hey, can you get the equipment over here to the fire department, over to the firehouse? I'm gonna tell my boss to kind of shut the speakers off, and we got an empty room over here. Let's go ahead and do this audition and send it in. Sometimes I'll take what they call petty leave. I'll take 4 hours off. I'll run home and I will do that audition in my home studio where I'm in now. Sometimes I'll ask for if nothing's going on, I'll say, hey, can I have the second half of the day off? Get in my car and drive to Atlanta because they really want to see me on a callback. And it's all worth it because I love my dream.
So let me see. I didn't see in the background. Where's your cape? Superman. Where's your cape? Because you're making it like CC's favorite word is like, let it do what it do. You know, that's what's going on. You're doing it.
Thank you.
Wow. That's amazing.
And shout out to your wife too. I mean, with all that you do, she's amazing. She's so supportive, and it's really a good feeling, I'm sure, for you too, and anybody in general that has a really good help and support system at home. And I can tell that you have that. I've seen it many times in person, you know, because we've known each other for years.
Yes.
And Danielle is amazing, so I shout out to her. That's impressive.
We did one of your auditions for Vampire Diaries.
Yes, yeah.
Danielle needs a cape too.
Yes. She needs the bigger cape. Now she's only 4'9", so the cape would like be dragging on the ground.
That's okay. That's okay.
That is amazing. Yes. Wow. So Joseph, with all this that being a has, and I know that you mentioned earlier, you know, the public servant and being a servant to others, but what continues to motivate you to want to continue to do this?
It does wear on you. So I need something. I'm always looking for the next challenge. So for me, the next challenge was making lieutenant. It kind of reinvigorated my passion for the job. I've been a lieutenant now for 6 years, and now I'm going for captain. I need another shot. And I'm only 5 years away. I'm only actually 2 years away from retirement, an early retirement. And if I make captain, I'll stay for another 5 years just to kind of feel that that I can still give a help to my community. With the acting, that's passion. That's a labor of love. I don't ever want to stop that, but I do have a date in mind, or not a date, but I have a situation in mind, and it almost happens every day when you lose that audition every day. And you know, as an actor, Yessie, that, like, you feel like that's it. I don't even want to do it no more. Especially when you want to do something so bad and you notice you're right for that part. Maybe casting didn't see it. And that's those times where I go back, and you go back, guys, to your support system. And I go back to my wife and I go, hey, I didn't get that support. She'll go, you know what? It's okay. Come here. Let's sit down and eat and talk about it and all of that wonderful stuff. And so I love eating. So that's my other hobby. And so she cooks great, and eating always makes me feel better. So
that is amazing. Yes. Thank you for sharing that.
Let me ask this question. Have you ever wanted to play like a firefighter on a show, being that you are a real life firefighter? Because you have like a lot of great shows out there like that. So,
and I always lose the part. Chicago Fire, Rescue Me, you name it, Station 19. I get auditions for that, but I lose it to the actor that they know in Hollywood. You know, Yessie, and I'll say this: I'm a member of the Actors Union, SAG-AFTRA.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You make it there, that's like being called up to the big leagues, and you lose to the big names that you're auditioning with.
Wow.
So I let them know, and they always say, "Give us some background. Are you a firefighter? Are you this? Let us know." I let them know every time, and I always get X'd. I don't, casting is, they're trying to cast perfectly, so they're looking for the right height, the right skin tone, the right age, the right, you might fit all parameters, but they know the guy that's coming in the door next after you.
I've always put in so many things on backstage. I never get a call back.
Yeah.
That's the. I was going to say the caveat to being a professional actor is because it's such like you said, casting is tricky. We just don't know. And we feel like we brought our A game, and in our heart is like, I got this. And then when it goes to somebody else, you get discouraged. You feel bad. You're like, wow, really? Like, and then you see the person that got it, and you're like, wow, really? That person? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's where I kind of keep it. I kind of go, okay. Because once again, let me go back to God, and this is it seems like a cliche saying, but when he closes one door, another door opens up. There's roles that I got that I'm sure somebody else is sitting there going, that guy got it? Okay.
But everything happens for a reason, so if it's meant for you, it will be for you.
That's right.
Absolutely. And so with your career as a firefighter, do you have a experience that you're able to share that is one that's memorable to you, that you just, it really, when it happened, it really kept you up at night?
Yes. Kept me up at night as in, let me get some clarification, in a good way or a bad way?
I would say, but I mean, both, whichever, both, in a good way and a bad way, because sometimes when there's something on your mind it could be negative, it sits on your mind, but then when something is good, it also sits on your mind, like, wow, that happened, so whatever examples you want to share. Mm-hmm.
Okay, instead of giving you some kind of gory, big adventure story about fires and all that stuff, let me tell you this: firefighters don't only go on fires. We go on car wrecks. We go on, we do EMS as well. We're trained up to the level of an EMT basic. So we can administer aspirin and certain lower level medicines. We go to people who have heart attacks, strokes, and all that type of thing too. But what you're talking about is, and let me give you a duality. There's a good and a bad to this one. I've delivered several babies, and most of them have been textbook. Just like in the book, they come out perfect. There's no work for me. I just stand there like a quarterback waiting for you to hike the ball. Just stand right there and catch. Okay. So one time I was so happy I almost spiked the ball. Okay, I'm just joking. So we go to a house, and it was a 15-year-old girl who was having a baby, and she held it for 9 months from her mother. It was in the hood portion of Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and so the mother was a single mother, and she was busy, and the mother herself was a younger mother, and so she didn't keep very good tabs on her family. So the young girl was already a thin, skinny girl, and so she would wear an overcoat in the house because they were having trouble keeping the heat on. So there was kind of an excuse, and no one knew that she was pregnant. The call we get and how we get it is, hey, you got a OB call, or obstetrical call. We call it OB for short, at so-and-so Main Street or whatever. We go there. I'm the only black guy on a team of 4. And that plays in. That's why I'm saying this. I'm in the South. It's the good old boys, Southern boys. They walk into a black household and they're like, well, what y'all got going on here? And, oh, we got somebody pregnant, and where are they at? They're kind of gruff, kind of good old country boys. But they're nice. But I'm the rookie on the team. We get to the bathroom door. The mother is yelling. She's going, I don't know what's going on, but there's blood coming from under the bathroom door. And I don't know what's going on in there, but she better tell me something. and I want to know what's going on. They knock on the door. She opens up the door, the young lady, and she closes it right away, and she's yelling. Basically, we talked her into letting a firefighter into the bathroom. She goes, I don't want anybody else to come in but him. And she pointed to me because this is a black family. She saw a black face, and I was the youngest on the crew at the time. And she goes, I'll let him in. She lets me in the bathroom, and she's holding her something to her stomach, and she's going like this, holding her hand like stay back. There's blood in the bathtub, and there's blood in the toilet. And she's holding something. And what I see is it's a fetus, and the fetus is turning blue. And in the end, back then, the treatment was grab the syringe bulb and go ahead and suction out the nose and the mouth and let the baby start breathing, and jostle the baby a little bit with his feet or whatever and get him crying. I told her, I said, look, I know you're scared. I'm scared too. Can I have what you're holding in your hands, please? Umbilical cord is still attached up, on her. I came in close. I looked at the baby. I did the little suction. Baby starts crying. That's all you want to hear, that they're passing air. And the baby was cute, and the blue went away. She started changing colors and this and that. So that was a good thing. The girl was still scared. We had to lay her down because we have to wait for the placenta to come and all that stuff. The problem was the mother's outside going, what? She's pregnant. I'm coming in there and I'm going to come get her. Here's where your teamwork comes in. I said, hey, Cap, can you stop the mother from coming in here? Take her out front and go ahead and get the police here, because the mother wants to kill her daughter for all of this stuff that's going on. Captain has the radio. He calls in, and EMS comes, and the baby's delivered. The girl winds up having a healthy child. The lady calms down, but she didn't know that her daughter was pregnant. So you get those kind of elaborate situations going on. And that's a regular everyday thing. And sometimes you're woken up at 2 a.m. for something like that.
I'm trying to figure out how she hid that for 9 months.
You and me both, Nadine. I'm confused too. I'm like, what?
well,
especially because she was tall and thin. Like, how does that happen?
Well, she was thin, and so it didn't. Yeah, right. She didn't show the. Some women show pregnancy different. You can like my wife was unrecognizable when she was pregnant. She looked like a pumpkin. She's a small, thin person, but when she swelled up, she looked like a little pumpkin. And then she, her hair was growing great, so she cut it into a bob. And I'm sitting there looking at, who is this person?
She's gonna get you. She's gonna get
you.
Look, she went back to recognizable.
That is funny. That is hilarious. I see where you stand up.
Hey, look, she got pregnant because I was pollinating.
That's funny.
Well,
I guess he learned something today, or maybe you knew about the pollen, the male and female pollen.
I was listening. Look, when I was single, I was looking to pollinate a lot. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm done.
You are funny. Oh gosh.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I see the creativity. I see it. On both sides of I see it. I love it. I love it.
Oh man, that is awesome.
Wow. So what's next for Mr. Joseph? I know next month you have a movie coming out, and you filmed in Mexico City. So yeah. That's one of what's coming next. What else is next? Tell us about that too.
El Gato Negro, and the subtitle is Santuario. It is a bilingual series that's coming out on Amazon Network. And this is a really big thing for them because it's like Hoy en Dia, it's a bilingual series where there's going to be half that's going to be spoken in English by the Mexican actors, and there's going to be some points where it's going to go into your captions on the bottom of the screen because they're speaking Spanish, because they're going to market it in Mexico, they're going to market it in America, and it is their Spanish version of Batman. he was actually in the Mexican Marvel Comics goes all over the world. So for Marvel Comics to be in Mexico, their version of Spider-Man and Batman was El Gato Negro, and he's a jaguar, and he has a cat cave and all that wonderful stuff. I play. They want to mix it more into more reality. So he's kind of a real superhero that kind of didn't know he had these powers until he got the inheritance from his father who died, who was the old El Gato Negro, who was the legend. So without telling too much of the story, the young man realizes that he has some powers in him, and the suit kind of helps when he puts it on. We don't even see the reveal of the suit and the superhero until about the 5th episode.
Wow.
But what we get to know about is the controversy that leads up to him learning his powers and the conflict that he has with his Mexican family, because he lived in America, but the death of his father brought him back to Mexico, and there's arguments over the inheritance and everything that's going on. Half of his family is cartel members. So there's the conflict that's going on. I play I play a CIA director. And one of the lead females is there's only 2 Americans in the show. That's me and the lead female that is kind of helping out the black cat. What it is though is she gets too deep in, and I, as the CIA director, have to pull her out because she was undercover and she got into some trouble, and I'm trying to pull her out of this trouble, and it goes on from there. And it's a recurring character. I hope I come back next season. My last thing that I did left us hanging, so hopefully I come back. And so yeah, there you have it.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Congratulations. And so, tenía que hablar español o no? ¿No practicaste el español?
Very little, but let me tell you, hey, yes, I'm getting better at this. Okay. And I know that you, we're starting to find out, through ancestry.com with my wife and everything. You had asked her one time, does she speak Spanish? Is she Latina? She'll quickly say no. Because she does not speak the language, and she's afraid of being discounted for that.
Gotcha.
And so it's a very deep thing for her. She's second generation, and the family is looking more into their background. Her father is everything. Second generation, from the island to the Bronx, and then my wife grew up in Long Island. So
yeah, because she's background Puerto Rican, right?
Afro Latina, yeah. Afro Latina with a little bit of Caribbean thrown in and a little bit of African thrown in. So
Awesome.
there's a lot going on. So yeah, I'm getting better with that because she has a cousin that speaks it, and I had to get along down in Mexico City. Now, a lot of Mexicans, as long as they see that you're trying, they're very sweet about saying, okay, yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
So it worked out on set, and we did a good
that
job.
is true.
But yeah.
Are you using Duolingo? Because I've been using Duolingo.
What's that?
Yeah. Have you been using Duolingo to help you learn it?
Duolingo, Babbel.
Duolingo is like an app to help you kind of learn Spanish.
Yeah.
Babbel. But I also take classes for my job. They give us courses that we can take for my job so we can better interface with the growing Spanish population.
Mm-hmm.
And no one goes, but I go.
That's amazing. Use your resources.
Very good.
I live for how you say telenovelas. Like I used to binge watch
telenovela. Yeah.
I'm looking
greatest feature in the world, telenovelas and the music.
Yes, like oh my god, I don't know, on Netflix. I think I binge watched it one time until like 6 a.m.
That is awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
The telenovelas are really interesting. Yeah. When I was younger, I used to watch them a lot. Older, because I binge watched them growing up, I'm like, okay, that novela, but yeah, they were good when I used to watch them for sure.
And you know what I found out, Yessie? When you watch the telenovelas, it in the beginning when you don't know the language, it looks like they're overacting.
Yep.
when you get the flow and you understand what is being said, because I can understand it and answer you in English. I'm just having a hard time conjugating the verbs and all that stuff. But when you watch the telenovelas and you understand what they're saying, it's really not overacting. They are, it's just like us watching soap operas here. So
there's some good ones on Netflix. Let me tell you, I used to watch them. I tried to put Cece on one of them, and I told she know that I binge watched those shows.
Oh, I love it. It was Queen of the South. So they had an American version, but the Spanish version far surpassed. Like, it's amazing. You've seen it, Queen of the South?
I've tried hard to get on that show. I've had 5 auditions for that show. Even if they had me as a border agent or a detective or whatever, I get a lot of Midwest work. The cowboy picture right there was, I played a lead in the cowboy series, 3 shows. Nothing I've ever expected in my life. And that was through pure auditions. And they go, he's the guy that got the look for this sheriff right here. I got to brag a little bit. I was the first network Bass Reeves that anyone ever heard of on network television before they did the one with Taylor Sheridan from Yellowstone and all of the Bass Reeves that you hear about now from The Harder They Fall and all of that stuff. I was the first network one, and that's the show right there. And I brag on that because everyone acts like brand new now, like, oh man, this great black sheriff and this and that. The show still comes on cable channels, and I try to tell everybody about it because that's the real history that people should be knowing about. I'm a Jersey guy, but I really know how to ride horses, and I learned up in Jersey, but I do it down here in the South, and I do the boots on the ground. I'm your black cowboy. I'm all of that down here on my off time. Always riding horses, always going out to Corolla, looking at the wild horses and loving that kind of scene. So that's my thing right there.
That's amazing.
I love it.
Yes, amazing for sure. Oh my, this conversation is so juicy. So Joseph, we're definitely going to have to bring you on for a part 2 later on in the year, because I'm sure you're going to have so many other amazing things to share with us at that point. And I'm going to echo Cece's words. I mean, I'm going to say congratulations in advance, because I feel in my heart that you're going to get your captain promotion.
Yes, definitely.
Just putting it out there in the atmosphere, and God's going to definitely move it for a positive for you, for sure. But we are approaching the last minute words section of our segment here. And with this is an opportunity for you to share how people can find you on social media, any of what's next, in addition to, I know you just shared with us coming up next month with El Gato Negro, but anything that you have coming up, and how people can find you, if you have a quote or inspiration, whatever it is that you want to share as your last minute words, this is an opportunity to do that. And so whoever, I don't know, Joseph, if you want to start the last minute words, or if you want either Cece or Nadine to start, so that way you can get a feel for how it goes, I'm flexible, whatever y'all want to do.
Ladies first.
Okay. Nadine, you want to start it off?
I'll start you off. As you guys know and see on the screen, I'm Nadine Barton, the author. You can find me on Amazon. You can Google me and everything about me will pop up. I mean, it's scary to say, but I mean, once you write a book, you out there, right? And also you can find me on Instagram, Nadia, NADIAB _1202. Or on Facebook, my name, as you see on the screen, Nadine Barton. And I always say life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you react. So that's my go-to quote all the time, because it keeps you balanced when you're going through things. When people try to come at you crazy, you got to listen. Like, how do I want to respond to this person? Right. So that's my quote. And that's how you can find me. Right now, I've been doing some book signings, and I'm just going to keep doing that, just getting back into the groove, and, still doing my background, and just, getting ready for summer. Yeah.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Loving it. So I am Ciandra, the actionist with Inspire for Purpose. I'm all hopping in here. But yes, with Inspire for Purpose, Girls with Gigs and Extended Hands Worldwide Ministry. And then too, a co-host here on Oyandia TV. Loving it. So I always like to say, I always always put God first. You all know the things that you love most are the things that you talk about. So you always will hear me. It just comes out naturally. Always talking about the number one and the only Jesus numero uno, right? We're in the Holy Week, right? Praise God. And so I hope that you and your families will really, truly enjoy this week. And remember, right? You know, he rose again. And so when he rose, we rose too. And so live your life for the Lord. For those of you that are unbelievers, right? Find somebody who is a believer, get in the church, learn to know the Most High God. As I always like to say, love and light and inspire for purpose.
Nice.
Beautiful. Thank you. Joseph, your turn.
You can find me on, I go by Joseph Curtis Callender because there's a couple of Joseph Calendars out there. I keep it simple. Find me on Facebook, IG, but also IMDb. That's where you can get all of the latest happenings, what's coming out, and everything that I've been in and everything that's coming out. And also Actors Access. If you just go to the webpage and you call it the name, if you go to my Facebook page, you'll see everything under the title of my name of how to get to those access, Actors Access. My saying is something I learned a long time ago. It used to be in my mother's refrigerator. Be careful of the words you say, so keep them short and sweet, for you'll never know from day to day which ones you'll have to eat.
That's deep. That is deep indeed. Yes. Wow. Whew. This, I love Oyandia. I'm so glad that God put this in my spirit to start, because every time we have a segment, I loved the vibe, the guests, the conversations. It just brings me so much joy. So thank you all for just being here with me today. My co-hosts, Joseph, for being our special guest, the viewers and listeners, thank you. This is amazing. And I'm so excited to see where God takes this, platform, because it's already worldwide, but it's going to continue to grow and grow and grow. And we reach more viewers and more listeners. And we're going to continue to motivate, inspire, enlighten, educate, and entertain with each and every episode. And I know we did that today. Absolutely, hands down. We have the stand-up comedian / firefighter / actor. And then, my co-host just being amazing. So my heart is just I feel the warm and fuzzies. But with that in mind, I want to give a special shout out to our sponsors. So definitely CC and Nadine for being here with me, Oyandia TV, and their businesses being sponsors, as well as Collective Wear. We have Divine Beauty and Accessories, and we have Nadine's Travel Oasis. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these few commercials.
Sponsored by Collective Wear. Dream, explore, discover with Nadine's Travel Oasis. Your next adventure is just the booking away. From breathtaking beaches to vibrant cityscapes, we handle the details so you can make the memories. Luxury, leisure, or last-minute getaways, we've got you covered. Book today and let Nadine's Travel Oasis take you places. Sponsored by Divine Beauty and Accessories. Watch Oyandia TV Thursdays, 7:30 p.m.
All right. And for those who want to be sponsors at Oyandia TV, we do have sponsor packages available. Simply email oyandiatv@gmail.com. It is scrolling at the bottom of the page. And just subject line sponsor, and then we'll share that information with you so that you can be a sponsor here. Again, this is a worldwide platform, so not only can people see us visually via YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Also, you can hear us on Spotify, Amazon Music, Samsung Music, iHeartRadio, Deezer, RSS. I'm sure I'm missing some, but we're all over the place, thankfully. Thank God, right? So with that in mind, also for those who want to know more about me, who Yessie Rodriguez is, very simple. Just go on Google or Safari, Internet Explorer, whichever your favorite browser is, and just type in Yessie Rodriguez, YESSE Rodriguez, and everything about me will pull up. You'll see my social media handles, website, yessierodriguez.com, and who I am, what I'm about. So yes. And with that in mind, closing remarks and my favorite quote that I always say, and I'm going to continue to say this to the very, very end. With that for those who say the sky's the limit, just remember that that's not true, because there is that Kármán line that exists. And for those who don't know what the Kármán line is actually a 62-mile or 100 kilometers above sea level. And that's where the Earth's atmosphere from the ground meets our space. So just keep that in mind for food for thought, that when you say that, you're technically setting yourself a boundary. Food for thought, right? So please stop saying the sky's the limit, but say this. This is a quote that I created back in 2011. The sky is never the limit because the galaxies are endless. Thank you for tuning into Hoy en Día TV, another amazing episode. Hasta pronto. Adios.